Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. So for this particular workshop, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're still going to be working, well, it is a resist technique. We're kind of taking where we're removing paint, we're not adding. What we're going to do is we're going to do two spreads today, and we're going to prime or base the paper with a solid color. Then what we're going to do, we're going to apply decoupage, basically over the painted surface, okay? And then we're going to drag paint over top. And what should happen is that it should crack at the end and the paint will become transparent, and you'll see it'll all be like a marbling effect. It's we'll see if this is going to work. So the colors I'm going for, what I'm going for is a mega bright yellow green as my base with a crackled red on top, so complementary colors there. Then the other one, I'm going to try something different, painting pure dioxazine purple on the page, and then the crackled color will be a very light violet color. Okay, almost like a rose violet. So I have here the colors I'm going to be using. Let me just get these lined up properly. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Oh, and I'm going to put some shiny stuff here. So for the first one is going to be, I'm using Hansa Yellow Light, Traditions, Hansa Yellow Light with Phthalo Green Blue, plus my finger. And I'll mix those into a ratio to get a really bright color. And then for the red overlay will be Naphthol Red. For the actual base of the other spread is Dioxazine Purple. And for the overlay will be Titanium White tinted with some Quinacridone Violet. And I'm going to add some Americana Pearlizing Medium into it. Now my page, I smudged something on here. I'm not going to worry about this. You can, because we're basing the page, your page can be dirty or it could be a page that's already been done. It doesn't matter. Okay? Now the key is that you have to use two separate brushes when it comes to putting the decoupage on there and the paint. Okay, so you need one brush can be used to base the surface, but when it comes to putting the decoupage and the paint on, they have to be two separate brushes. Okay? So let's get started with this. I can just use even a foam brush to get that started, or I can even use the bristle brush I'm going to keep for the decoupage, and for the actual paint applications I'm going to use a Royal Fusion #1 and a 3/4 inch soft grip. And I also have on the ready another brush just in case. Okay, so let's get the purple done first. So Dioxazine Purple. And I like using the foam brush for when I'm basing dark colors, because I don't want to really add water, because the pages will curl. Where did that go? The pages will curl if you add water. So when you put on the paint pure, it won't curl. It's the water that the paper just absorbs all the water, and it disturbs all the molecules and all that stuff in there. It absorbs the water and then it has no place to go. It just swells. Okay. This is pretty technique, this boring here, this segment right here, because you're just basing color. And putting it on dry with no added water, this is drying almost immediately. The temperatures outside it's actually cool today. I needed a jacket to go outside, which is such a contrast since we just finished a huge heat wave. It was so comfortable. So the paint in the studio is not drying as fast because there's no air conditioners on, there's no fans going. It's quite cool in here. Okay. So that's that. One of the major things that I love about the Traditions paints and the Americana paints is that they dry to a matte finish. The pages will not stick together. So when something has a semi-gloss, that's when it'll fit. Now the decoupage that we're using is the matte finish, okay, not the gloss. All right, let's shimmy over. And we'll get another page again. This stuff here is not really important. I don't care if my pages get dirty, but now I'll put this one in water and then I'll get another one. And now for the this piece here, I'm going to take Hansa Yellow Light and I'm going to dip just into Phthalo Green. Oh, that's actually pretty good. So I'm looking at Hansa Yellow Light and a speck of phthalo green. I'm going to need more yellow than that. There's no way that that's enough yellow. Hansa Yellow Light is yellow that leans a little bit towards the green side of the color wheel. It's what I call a cool yellow. When I teach color theory to my students, they go, how can you have a cool yellow, a cool red, a warm blue, a cool blue, that type of stuff? And I tell them, well, I'm going to gab while I do this because this is the same step. You have Hansa Yellow Light, which is a yellow that leans towards the green side of the color wheel, so I call that cool. You also have a yellow, let's say Hansa Yellow Medium, which is a yellow that leans towards orange, and that's a warm yellow. You have a blue that leans towards the green, such as phthalo blue. That's a cool blue. You have a blue that leans towards violet, such as ultramarine blue, and that's a warm blue. Let's see for red. One of the coolest reds, a red that leans towards blue on the color wheel is alizarin crimson. Regardless if it's a mix or the pure PR83 alizarin crimson, it's a red that leans towards blue on the color wheel, so it's a cool red. And we'll say, let's say naphthol red light, or even in oils, cadmium red light is a red that leans towards orange, so it is a warm red. So see where I'm going with that? There we go. This one here I want. This texture really isn't going to show much, but because this is going to be the one with the red crackle, I want lots of activity in here. You can make it a completely solid mix if you want, like a solid coverage. This one isn't even a solid coverage. You can't see because it's so dark. But as long as everything's covered, this is actually pretty good. Okay, now we have to let this dry. So while this dries, I'm going to clean this off my palette and I'm going to bring out the other paints. Okay, it's all dried now. I'm just going to grab some paper towels. So over here, I took some titanium white, big pile of titanium white, about half the amount of quinacridone violet, and then a big blob of pearlizing medium. Okay, and then we're going to mix these together. I'm looking for, yeah, that's pretty close. I don't want to add any more of that in there. So I'm just going to take a bit more white in this corner. It's a little too pink for me, keeping in mind that it's going to dry darker as it goes. A bit more pearlizing medium. Yeah, that's close. So what we're going to do now is we have that mixed up, and we're going to get some decoupage matte. Now this container is almost empty, so I'm just going to pour it right in here. Usually I go into the right into the container. Now I'm going to flip this over because I'm working on this page first, and I'm going to Put decoupage over everything. The technique that we're going to, now I've tried it, I've done it with white glue, I've never done it with decoupage, so decoupage, I keep pronouncing that wrong. I actually had somebody on YouTube get mad at me because I was pronouncing this wrong. I don't know. Anyways, so I've done it with white glue, I've done it with Weld Bond before, but I've never done it with decoupage. So we'll have to see. The thicker the medium, the thicker the cracks. Okay, so I'm just going to get that going in this direction here. There's some blobs of dry decoupage, so that's fine. Okay. Now this part here, I'm going to dampen my brush a bit. And we're going to, you know what? I'm going to put that back. Let's change the brushes. Let's go into something dry. I'm going to load the brush with this creamy white. Okay? And then we're just going to do that. Okay? Load more paint. I'm not going to overwork the paint. The paint just needs to sit on top. Let's get something here. Let's pick up a little bit of purple. This would be really good with a nice big brush. But if you overwork it, you're going to be mixing the decoupage with the paint, which we don't want to do. We want the paint just to sit on top of the medium. You will naturally pick some up when you put the paint over. This will be nice and thick here. Just going back over some areas that it really didn't stick to. Again, I've never done this using the decoupage product, but we'll see. Alright, put the brush in water right away. And now we're going to let that, we're going to let dry for quite a while. I'll end up going on and doing a different project, and when I come back it'll be dry. This one now. Nice and thick. And I'm using the matte because anything that's glossy sticks. I do have a bunch of other crackling techniques to go over that's in a different video. Let's make this one nice and thick. I'm also going to be doing one of these pieces where we're going to actually put the journal in the freezer. We're going to do that with triple thick. And then I'll show you a different way of doing a different crackling technique. Okay, so we have that. Okay, put that one in water. I'm going to put it in the bucket. And now I'm going to get another dry brush. So I'm just going to go, I'll have to go to a 3/4 inch square. You notice I'm kind of changing directions. You know, could be starting here. I'll load up some paint. Then I can come in right in here. It'll give a different effect. Just make sure that you're laying the paint down. I think I'm just gonna have enough. And I'm not gonna bother finishing the bottom of all of them. Okay, I think I want to put a little bit more here. Okay, I think we're pretty good to go now. So I'm going to clean this up, and when we come back, we'll see what happens. But this here, I'm thinking at least 3 hours of drying time. So I'm going to set a timer, and then as soon as it's dry, I'll calculate the timer. Then I'll be able to tell you exactly how long it did take to dry. All right, so I'll be back in a bit. So we're back. So it's all dry now. It took 3 hours for this to dry. I didn't quite get the effect that I was looking for, but you can see here, let me get a close-up. You can see like some of the nice crackling in here, okay? And then in here you can really see some of it, especially down here. See all that? But I didn't quite get enough of the crackling. But so it's an experiment. So I'm kind of I can see something happening here, especially with this one. I have an idea what I want to do with this. Now it could be because the decoupage medium wasn't thick enough. It didn't have enough crackling power. So it also could be that the decoupage medium, because it's an art product and it's made to be flexible, so you can do this. Maybe that's why it works better with white glue, because white glue is not an art product like a regular white glue. So I'll have to try it using Weld Bond again, because with Weld Bond you got a lot of crackling. But that's just an alternative if you don't have a crackle medium. And we are going to be doing something with crackle medium a little bit later on. So there we go. Now the other thing I want to mention. Okay, so we use the Traditions paints on this. Okay. I want to talk to you now about the finish. So look at this. See this? This is the Traditions paints velvety finish. This has a bit of a shine because it's the metallic underneath. But look at this one. Very, very, very velvety. These have a lot of shine. It's because of the medium. Okay, even though it's a matte medium, it is a medium. Okay, it's a translucent medium. So you have a bit of a shine there. This one, there's even more shine because the pearlizing medium, and that's right inside here, it's a shimmer. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now these will have a higher chance of sticking. Anything that's a gloss will stick versus anything that's a matte finish. Like this one here is a multi-surface satin, and it tends to stick. So as I'm working through the pages, I will take my book and I just fan the pages out like this, just to give them even more time to dry. Okay, don't forget, acrylic paint, it has sort of like a built-in sealer in it. If you've got a really wet page and you've got acrylics on this side, then you paint like crazy on this side. This will dry before the water inside the thick paper will have a chance to dry. So it's really a good idea just to let your stuff sit, if possible, you know, completely open, to give the water that's inside actually inside the page to fully evaporate. So there you go. So that's an interesting technique. I can think of some. I already know what but this one I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll see when the time comes. Anyway, so that's it for now. So join me next time for our next session on backgrounds, for background technique. And it's nice to see that the book of backgrounds is starting to fill up quite nicely. All right, so until next time, stay inspired.